Hey everyone, this is Founders365 with me, Stephen Haggerty, and today I am joined by Sean Hickey. He is the founder of Black Dagger Media and probably one of the best co-titles I think I've ever read, Battlefield to Boardroom. So Sean, welcome on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, pleasure. Thank you for being here and late on a Sunday evening as well. So excuse the pun, you're a real trooper. Had to put it in there. So let's dig straight into it. So obviously, Battlefield to the Boardroom. Talk me through where it began and how we've ended up speaking on a Sunday night about founding companies, growing companies, and doing what you do now.
Well, like most things, it seems to happen in my life, and maybe other people can relate. It's all complete accident. It was one of those things that never started off the way it was planned. So I was destined for university, history degree. Everyone's quite happy. I was the first one in the family that was going to go down an academic route. And then one day I took a career test, and it came up saying Royal Marines Commando. So I thought, as everybody who has no idea what they're doing, I walked into an army recruitment office thinking it was the same thing. It's not, and that's where it all started. Yeah, I was pinpointed down into a route. I was initially going to go into bomb disposal. Promised my mum I wouldn't join the infantry, and ended up in the artillery in 29 Commando Regiment, which was where this journey really began.
Wow, that's already this is going to be probably one of my favorite stories, I think. So what happened next? How long did you serve for?
So I was in 7.5, just coming into my 8th year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd done several tours of Afghanistan. Obviously, I'd passed the commando course. I came. I got onto the commando course by accident. Again, somebody just said, give it a try. So I thought I would do. Turns out I was quite good at just getting my head down and getting on with things. But on the course, you were taught to stand up, to stand up, be counted, to voice your opinion, and to take charge. And I enjoyed that aspect of things and passed the course. Quite simple. Just put up with the pain. Went out to Afghanistan, several tours. Came out 7.5 years later. I was at a point. I was 23. And I thought I need to either carry on with my military career and see that through, or I'm young enough to get out and start something now. And I made the decision to transition out and found myself in a position as a training manager for a company who went into schools and taught kids communication, leadership, teamwork skills.
How did you manage that transition though, from two completely different situations and environments? 1 minute you're in Afghanistan and you've got that surrounded by people just like you, very like-minded. The next minute you're in a school and going down that road. How was that mentally for you to do that? Because that's a huge shift in identity.
Yeah, it was quite a shift. I think the hardest thing, not necessarily the hardest, I suppose the biggest shock was realizing that not everybody around you is made of the same stuff. I was used to being in an environment where you were told to do something, people went on, they got on with it, they did the job, got the job done. And then I went into schools and I found that there was loads of teachers who were like that. They were in there, they were passionate, they would do what it takes. But there were also some that would join and quit and leave, who didn't have that same mentality. There were those that would cut corners. There were the people that didn't have the right attitude, and that was the biggest shock to me, was to find that these people out there in the same organizations aren't all going to have the same goal and the same aspirations. So that was the biggest shock. However, being in the role I was in, I was able to try and change that it was mostly through physical education, but working with children and with teachers. We would use your generic team building tasks, but with our own unique spin.
Amazing. How long did you do that for?
I did that for 3 years. And it got to the point where I was running the training for the company, the development, And once again, that little voice in the back of my head was going, you've always wanted to do your own thing. My entire family are self-employed or run their own businesses. And it just sort of came to me one day. I thought, start a coffee company. So, so I liked coffee. So I was, I had some time during all of my lunches and things. I began researching. And in, when will it have been now? December of 2015, I launched my first e-commerce company online. Went through the the normal business structures, the plans, where I soon found that some of them are like any plans in the army; they don't survive contact with the enemy. By month 3, I'd hit my 2-year sort of target for sales, so I knew that I was on something good.
How did it feel finally doing your own thing that you've been itching to do for a while by the sounds of it?
It was the sense of free. It sort of like it comes over you like a wave, which I'm sure some people will, listening will understand. And I bought a van, which I was going to put a coffee machine in the back to go to events to and things. And I was driving this van, and I mean like a bit of a heap of shit, but it was my heap of shit. It was the first sort of investment I put into an asset. Yeah. And I was driving it from Sheffield over Snakes Pass, which is an awful road, and then onto the M66 and over to where I was living over near Burnley. And I just couldn't stop smiling. I was, this thing that I was struggling to transition into gears, but I knew that I was doing my own thing and carving my own path, and it was, I was on the high.
Yeah. What do you think in terms of running your own thing versus serving time in sort of that military environment, what do you think have been the massive lessons that have helped you take your businesses to where they've gone?
I think the biggest thing is, I suppose the combining to the two, is to take action. Nothing gets solved by sitting around with your thumb up your ass, and that excuses are just worth nothing. You soon found out. So, when we're going through the commando course, we would have those guys that always had an excuse why they couldn't do this, why they didn't do that right. And, you give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but after a while, you soon found out to be it. You word is your bond. Yeah. And if you keep making up excuses and not sticking to what you say you'll do, you're soon gone. And I think that happens in business. If you can't deliver what you've said you will, you soon found out. But to get to that, to get to the chance to even have the opportunity to make an excuse, it's taking action. It's, if people go to seminars, I wrote a post about this recently on Instagram. They'll take notes and notes and notes and notes. They'll go home. They're like, I know what I'm going to do. And they won't do it. They won't step out of that comfort zone and do it.
Developers.
Yeah, it's something. It's even if you take one thing from it. So when I was at a conference recently, I think I just wrote 3. I had actions in the back of the book, and I wrote 3 things, and people were taking pages of notes. And somebody said to me, "How come you don't take a lot of notes?" I just said, "Well, I know I'll do these 3 things, and I know that I'll benefit from them, and I know that 95% of the people in this room will write down full books of notes and never look at them again." Yeah. It's about taking that one small action rather than sit considering the huge action, which you never get around to. By just getting on with it, doing something, and just seeing it through, or failing quickly, learning and adapting. That's the way that you're going to build something.
Massively. Do you think that learning came from commando training and that sense, or did you have that mindset before you even stepped into that recruitment office?
It's hard. It definitely, because I was such a shy kid. I was so quiet. I was 2 stone piss wet through. I just I was the quiet. They used to call me the grey man in basic training because I just blended into the background and got on with it. Whereas the commando course taught me to come out of my shell. They have the commando values, the commando spirit, and I think it was a massive factor in developing that. It was looking for a solution to a problem, whereas when I spent time with the regular military, they didn't want people to do that. Your normal units in Captric, no offense to them, but just in my experience there, they just wanted people to turn up and be there for the sake of it until they've been around long enough to go into a leadership course. Whereas the commando unit I was with actively encouraged you to come up with solutions to get the job done however you wanted to do it, as long as you got it done. And it promoted that sort of mindset, and it helped me massively.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if because back then you obviously had people around you all the time. You had that same mentality, that team spirit, helping each other, wanting each other to win. How have you made sure that you've got that in your entrepreneurial life, in your business journey, in terms of the support around you?
It's the toughest aspect. I'm sure people will agree, every day is a roller coaster. You go from the high of signing a fantastic new project and getting a contract in place to 10 minutes later, somewhere inside your head it goes, what happens if that's the last one? And you're like, no, sure, you don't need that. So it is tough, and you're around people who, it baffles me when they just say, oh no, I don't want to go for that promotion, or I don't want to do that. I'm happy just doing what I'm doing. I can't understand that. So it is tough. And I found that finding groups online is one of the best ways, because there are people out there who have that same mentality, and they can support you. But I think it's really important to try and find somebody who you can speak to in person, who has that same mindset and those same feelings, or because just going for a drink with them, having a brew, just getting on the phone, and being able to just talk it out and understand that people have those same problems is essential. It's that sense of community and people that understand where you are, because trying to explain to somebody that you need to do something on a Sunday night, for example, like a podcast, and then you need to get up early the next morning and send some emails off because the person you're working with is in the Philippines and there's a time difference and you need to get them before they clock off. They don't understand it. And it's essential to have people around you that you can talk to and share those conversations with.
Massively. I think you're completely right. It is one of the hardest things people struggle with. Even if, I know lots of people that have a huge team and in-house staff, and they still struggle with that. They still struggle with the collaborative aspect, I guess we could call it, in sense where people are at that same sort of level or that same destination journey.
It's very lonely.
Massively.
For a lot of people. I think even, one of the CEOs that I work with and talk with quite a lot, who sits, a large company, and, people constantly say how much he's got, has struggled with loneliness, and being able to speak to people. And that was since his business partners moved on. It's one of the reasons why I said if I was to start something next, or scale, which is the plan, I would only do it with somebody else on board. Somebody who's in that same mindset and can take on different responsibilities to me and share that workload, because it is tough. Massively.
And I completely agree. So you don't have the coffee bean business anymore, do you?
No, that's now gone.
Do you still have the van?
I've actually just very recently got rid of it after it was sat for it was the guy that came to look at it. He's like, why are you selling it? I was like, I don't really want to, but it's just sat going to waste. So that's just gone. But I still got all the t-shirts and jumpers we went into clothing from it. And it was the thing that it was like my degree. It was like my business degree, where I learned all the ups and downs, the highs, lows, the challenges, and it's where I discovered that actually I do have a natural ability for this whole marketing and selling thing. So it was a great experience.
Which is how Black Dagger Media has been born, I presume.
Yes. So from when I was doing the coffee, people would come up to me all the time and say the brand is amazing. How have you done it? What have you built? And I just say, oh, well, just don't know. I just went through the process of creating a community, creating a brand and a vision, and that turned into the consulting side of things. So I then I was into CrossFit at the time. We were doing a lot of CrossFit events, and people would ask me for help with their event or their brand. Being naive and stupid at the time, I was like, yeah, I'll give you a hand. Just, chuck us 50 quid or I'll swap you for a t-shirt. But that soon grew. I went to the CrossFit games, the regionals in Berlin. Worked on the media team there and learned more of the understanding of large scale events, broadcast and media. Brought those skills back with me, and I've worked with the largest independent functional fitness, because for legal reasons we can't say CrossFit events in the UK, and that was sort of the route in, and from there moved on to, it's still in the consultancy side, into some large UK PLC, some international charities. And the more I got deeper into this, I found there were more people saying, well, this is fantastic. You've completely changed like the strategy, the vision we've got. Can you recommend someone to come in and start doing that for us? I just thought, I never thought I wanted to go into like sort of the media creative agency, but then it just comes knocking, and I was like, yeah, okay, it's turned into, I do actually know somebody, and that's the other side of what I do. Tried to keep the two separate, but yeah, they've come together, and Black Dagger's just sort of born out of that, born out of the necessity.
So
really.
What would you consider Black Dagger Media to be then?
It's still finding its identity, but it's got the strategic side. So going in, and say almost like a commando raid. It is a hard knock. It's come in, sort your head out, get your vision, find out where we're going, and also find out where we're going wrong, and sort of give yourselves that 12-month sort of pipeline of where we're going to move and further beyond. But then as it's progressed, it's coming to develop. We now create social strategies, but then we also create the content. So video, written content, websites. It's just sort of all come about from this need from the clients we were with. So it's such a broad beast at the moment. Again, it's something that we are refining, but one company, for example, we've just done the full fit out, developed the website alongside the advertising strategy, the paid traffic, organic, getting the content created, video on site. It's turned into something I never expected. Yeah. So we've gone from me expecting to walk into an office, get my whiteboard out and draw up some long-term strategy into delivering content on a daily basis.
Amazing. What were some of the main things that you learned from the coffee business, Extreme Bean, to now Black Dagger, and that you've brought with you into this new one?
The biggest is to develop a brand that your audience can relate to and feel a part of. Through the coffee, we created a brand where people would go out of their way to purchase it, take a picture and put it on Instagram just to be a part of this. I had people sending me all around the world, sending me pictures of them wearing the t-shirts, the jumpers. And it's because we engaged with the audience. We were reached out and became a part of their lives rather than just sat back and wait for them to come forward. And the engagement side of things is something that I've brought forward into Black Dagger, talking to brands, saying, you can't just sit back now. You're not big enough to wait for your audience to come to you. You've got to be a part of that, whether it's going to events as a bit of a face, or whether it's just understanding what they want to belong to and getting involved, being part of the groups, if it's on Facebook, being part of the same network on Instagram, being active on LinkedIn, putting out content that they can actually take action on and use and being a part of. So it's the biggest lesson has been, you need to create a sense of belonging. People need to feel like they want to be a part of what you're putting out, whether it's B2B or B2C. There still needs to be that feeling of people coming together and creating a sense of community.
Massively. And do you think people get that? Do you think, or is it hard to understand for some?
It's hard to understand for some. I think it depends.
You put on your story to help educate them in actually that feeling of purpose and that feeling of sort of community side?
Yeah, because not every founder is the same. You know, some come from more of, they like to sit and look at the data. Some are, you know, they're technically focused, and I think it's helping those in those situations bring others onto their team that are going to just drive that brand, bring a creative aspect into it, engage with the audience. One of the biggest lessons there is, look, you've got your speciality and you need to stick to it.
Yeah.
If you try to do everything, you're gonna miss. You know, like say a commando is made up of different roles. You know, whether you have to have your medical, your communications, your weapons. You know, your leader. Your leader can't be expected to do everything. They need to delegate out. And if you're a technical minded founder, you understand the software you're doing like nobody else, but you don't really understand how to create that social boom and get people interested, then that's when you need to start bringing people in, and you know, you focus on what you can do best.
Massively. So where do you want to take it? Where do you want Black Dagger Media to go? What's your vision, Sean?
So at the minute we've got such different, like, you know, almost like two different type of client. I've got the large corporate side of things, where they've got the budget and they can do some amazing things, but they just haven't got the creativity there. And then we've got this small business, which, you know, they're struggling with where to go next, what systems to put in place, what process, even you know, an automated email sequence once they've got a customer on board. So we've got two completely different sides of things, and the next step is to bring more onto the team and to have two different teams servicing those different needs. I want to have the large. Sorry, I keep going one side of the screen to the other, but you know what I'm going. Yeah, I like having the large projects which can work on. Yeah. But by far the most rewarding is to work either one-to-one, or my team be able to help the smaller business owners to develop their strategies. And I'd like to keep putting on a series of workshops around the country to be able to help develop that. Work with former service personnel and veterans to help them transition if they do wish to do the same as me. But yeah, at the same time, through the other side of the team, to be want to be the best creative agency in the UK and beyond.
Amazing. That's some incredible goals, especially the giving back side of things. Why is that important to you specifically?
I've been helped along the way. There have been people that have given me advice. There have been people that have given up their time. The military, for example, you know, if it hadn't been some of the opportunities I was given there, on the commando course, I burnt my leg quite badly on some boiling water. And one of the course commanders was quite keen to take me off the course, but I begged. I said, I'll wrap it up. I think I wrapped up in cling film to get through some of the days.
No way.
And one of the guys, the instructors on the course, gave me a chance. And, you know, if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have gone out to Afghanistan when I did. So, you know, it helped. So it's nice to be able to do something that might just give somebody that one chance to create something and go that one step further. Yes, I feel like I've had help, and it's something I say to people: if you can spare 5 minutes to help somebody out, if you can, you know, give them review their landing page, if you can help check over a system that they've got in place, you know, that's what helps the world go around. And you never know what you're gonna need one day. And it's nice to hope that there are people with the same mindset out there which will do that back.
I completely agree. I think there's it comes back to that sense of community, doesn't it? It's you want to see people succeed. You want to see people grow, no matter where they come from, what stage they're at, what level they're at. Even if they're ahead of you in some sense, you can always help them and listen and learn and just be that person to sort of to just help them, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sean, listen, you know, for you, if my last question to you is, and it's the one that I ask everyone, if you could give 3 tips to founders, and I know you've got some 3 amazing tips coming because I know you're that sort of guy. 3 tips to founders that can help them on their journey, whether that's to help them grow, to get in the right mindset, or whatever that may be? What do you think your top 3 would be that are like the non-negotiables?
Be an action taker. Say you're going to do something and get it done. Don't sit around. When you're taking that action, be prepared for it to fail and go wrong, because no plan survives contact with the enemy. Have a contingency in place, but then also be prepared to fail fast and to improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's one of the top skills, is to be able to think on your feet, because things will go wrong. And if you're ready for that, the fall will be a little bit easier. And I'd say third of all, your communication, whether it's with people in contract, whether it's your audience, whether it's those that are working for you. It's the communication is key, and the process that I have in my head before I send any message out. Maybe apart from this podcast, I'm recovering from the flu, so I might be a bit all over the place.
You nailed it, don't worry.
But when we work on the military net, especially when we were calling in artillery fire, you had to speak very clearly to one person on the other side, and send your message and send it as simply as possible. Because otherwise the whole world goes to shit. But it's the same here. It's choosing your audience, niching it down, whether it be your individual employee, whether it be your target audience for your marketing campaigns, sending a message directly to them that they will understand, and getting it across in the simplest way possible. Because messing around, everybody gets confused and nobody's a winner.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much noise out there now that the more direct you can be, the better. People like it. Sean, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, speak to you about Black Dagger, any of the above, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way to do so, and probably the easiest, to find me on Instagram. That's where whenever I've got 5 minutes, I'll try and put some tips out. It's my personal page, so that's at Social Commando. Social media, Commando. Yeah, it makes sense. Black Dagger Media on Instagram, not the full one, because somebody out there has taken it and has saved it and never published a post.
No way.
So at the minute,
Instagram surely and asked.
Yes, and they've said no. Well, I've had no answer. I'm blackdagger.media on there at the minute, but it's just a holding page until I get that one, and then we're going all out. And on LinkedIn, you can find me, Sean Hickey. You can spot me because I'm the idiot in the CrossFit Regionals t-shirt, posing like trying to look serious, but in reality, I'm definitely not. They're the best places, and blackdaggermedia.co.uk, which should be the new site, should be live this week.
Amazing. Listen, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed listening to your story, learning more about you, and learning more about what you're going to get up to. Thank you so much for being the guest. Everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and join me next time for another founder interview and hearing their story as well. Thanks a lot, Sean.
Cheers. Thanks very much.